through. I've got pictures to prove that point. Ukuthi you sleep with men when
I know. Namhlanje siyathasha. Angazi ukuthi uyangiunderstand.
Nathesha kuphi?
I-property yakho.
but you're not even paying me my money.
Into engasiza ngayo mina manje ukuthi uyovula ukhiphe ama-belongings wakho lapha.
Imoto izoletha ama-paperwork court.
Right! Imoto yaphuma. Machita, Mzweta, awungithathile isikhiya kulo photi.
This is absolutely one of the craziest episodes I've seen of X-Repo in a very long time. Because ngempela, the shocking things that happen inside of Umjolo in South Africa really have to be studied. Because what do you mean you gave your boyfriend so much money and now that you guys are no longer together, sekufile umakhothi odabi manje sekubiza X-Repo ngoba unfortunately uthando alsekho. But guys, I'm gonna be honest, I mean it when I say I haven't seen a much crazier episode of X-Repo in a very long time. So obvious vele, this episode starts off like any other X-Repo episode where X-Repo introduces us to the people he's gonna be helping in today's episode. Upalesa umunye umanana. Now the story centers around Upalesa and her previous relationship, but as Upalesa is explaining what exactly happened and what exactly she wants X-Repo to do, things go from bad to worse very quickly.
Assist us to get my daughter's money that her ex-boyfriend borrowed from her. And it's now, I would say, going to 2 years now.
So Upalesa and her mom go on to explain Uti, well, she had been dating this guy for around 3 years, and it seemed like the guy had a lot of financial issues during this relationship, which I'm not gonna lie, I think that's a red flag, but that's neither here nor there. So the guy obviously had a lot of financial issues within a relationship, but I think the first red flag that Upalesa should have seen was the fact that on the first occasion when this guy ever asked her for money, he asks her to borrow him 50,000 rand. Uthi alungise imoto yakhe iVolvo, and that should have been red flag number 1 to Upalesa. But shame, man, the girl was infatuated. She was in love, and she obviously borrowed him 50,000 rand.
One time where he said his Volvo was getting repossessed. It was like, I think, 50,000 rands.
But it goes from bad to worse, because then after that, he would ask for another amount of 15,000 rand. No, guys, when with a clear relationship, Upalesa was slowly becoming an ATM machine. Now, something very interesting happens here. Upalesa says Uti, while he was asking her for money, while she did give him the money because obviously she loved him, she did say Uti, he needs to pay her back all of the money that he's borrowing. So I want us to keep that in mind, because at this point, the guy owes her around 65,000 rand. However, I'm going to need you to hold your horses, because things go from bad to much worse.
I remember the one time when I gave him, well, rather loaned him 200,000 rands. Immediately I made immediate payment to his account, and he bought the car. He used up the rest. I don't know what he did.
Because as Upalesa just explained, he asked her to loan him 200,000 rand. Imali is a rap. And of course, she doesn't see anything wrong with this. She's infatuated with the guy. Wenza immediate payment, same time, to the guy's account, and he bought the car that he wanted. At this point, the guy's owing what? 265,000 rand. Now at this point, Upalesa can see what, this guy is just using him pretty much for her money. So she does seek some legal advice. And look, the court rules in her favor, and they ask the guy to pay a staggering 385,000 rand. Now I'm not gonna lie, look, at that point, I'm not sure if this guy is gonna be able to pay any of the amount that the court is ordering him to pay. 15,000, how is he now gonna pay 385,000 rand? However, there is something here that I feel as though many people are overlooking. However, we're going to leave that for later, because right now we need the entire picture of this dilemma. So they go to try and confront the guy so that he can pay the outstanding amount that the court ruled that he should pay. And the guy is sitting in some like angaz no miklapi or some luxury hotel, unaware which is and shame, the guy is completely shocked as to what exactly is going on. However, things would only take a turn for the worst when he's confronted with the truth.
And then kwenzakala asikhulume indaba ezeyimali. Yeah, so kwenzekeni indaba yenyu.
Business was not good.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean business was not good? I was not venturing into business with you, Lebo.
So, okay, your ex-repo has given the guy a chance to explain what exactly happened between the both of you. And the guy explains, no, she lent me some money when things were going good, and then we broke up. That's it. However, Palisa and the mother were not having it. The guy is completely overwhelmed, and he doesn't want to be on TV. So I'm not doing this. I'm gonna walk away. But your ex is absolutely having none of it because it's pansake, shay's bani. So he's telling the brother, hey baba, are we in down? Let's just put some paper, put my court. Either you pay, set something of same pay.
What magistrate is in the court order?
I'm in the that one can happen.
I'm trying to say I understand.
And now things get a bit scary for the guy because X-Repo is saying mali sizo attach, and the guy came to this restaurant with the Jaguar. So Manjo X is saying if you can't pay us right now, say title Jaguar. And I'm sure the guy's panicking because people Jaguar club or lepa magic melembele kang taxi, but Palesa drops another bomb because she says, well, I'm not the only girl you've done this to. You've actually been pulling this scheme with many other girls. However, things are starting to get heated because the guy just saw a tow truck parking right next to his Jaguar. So now he's trying to get to his car as soon as possible. But the ladies in Xolani are having none of it. The guy is trying to fight, saying, this car isn't in my name. It belongs to the bank. But the obvious X-Repo's having none of it because it's Pansa Kuksha Spani and Vandag.
If there's anything important, a chance. It's okay. It's okay. I'm giving you a chance.
I give X-Repo akipuraiti ushuti moto ya puma ikie putting nazos malis pume pagetin. And I can only imagine the disbelief that this guy is in. His actions have finally caught up with him. And I'm gonna be honest, I know for a fact that he thought he could get away with not paying Palesa for as long as possible. However, today ufike a voice for the voiceless, and there's unfortunately nothing this guy can do. And I'm not gonna lie, the car this guy drives is absolutely sick. It's just unfortunate to Manje. He's gonna have to get from A to B using either a taxi or a Uber.
See, you really thought that I don't know which car you drive?
What's up? Mama, what's up?
Nai.
Hey, mama.
The very same car.
However, if you thought that everything that was happening was bad, this girl was about to expose something crazy about this guy. Because she shockingly says, I have picture proof that he sleeps with other men.
I've got pictures to prove that point. You sleep with men when
I know.
Yes.
I gave X-Repo clearly didn't want to hear anything regarding that story. Because what do you mean? You just said these things live on national television. I know, this day just went from bad to worse for this guy. I get it, trying to get a final statement out of this guy, but he just keeps running away from the situation. He's going left, right. At all. I used to pay your DSTV, I used to pay your Wi-Fi, I used to pay for your petrol, I used to pay for everything, and this is how you repay me. Now, this episode does bring an interesting conversation to the table regarding when you're in a relationship, especially a relationship where you'll exchange money and you'll give each other money, when does it cross the line from being simply generosity to your partner to it being an official loan? Because at least Palesa states she doesn't want the money she used to pay on my DSTV, on my Wi-Fi, petrol, and all that stuff. All she wants are the big amounts she lent him, knowing that he was giving it to her as a loan. I personally think that's exactly what saved Palesa in this whole situation, is the fact that she made it clear from the beginning when she was lending this guy so much money that it was a loan from the get-go. However, I would caution people in relationships who were so infatuated with their partners that they start lending them and giving them so much money, because 9 times out of 10 it never ends the way you think. He's not gonna pay you 385,000 rand. He's not gonna do it. It's just unfortunate that Into Ekale, sweet and so loving and caring in the beginning, has turned into something so ugly in the end. But that's just the lesson that she and many other people will have to learn. Guard your heart and also your money.